All right, I'm ready to do this.
6.
Hey everyone, Chris Sawyer here, ready for you. Are you ready for me? The Varietal Show is on the house. Right now we are down in my cellar. It is just one of those days where I'd love to be hugging on my great old friend Adolfo Foronda, but I'm not going to. That's why I use sanitizer. He is near me, but not next to me, and that's a very important thing. We are distancing from each other, and we're having a good time. But I thought it would be fun to have Adolfo down here just to kind of talk about some wines, have a different palate in front of us. A great friend of mine who has gone to a lot of events with me, and actually for 25 years maybe.
Yes.
The Wine X days, all of those things that he's been in magazines with me.
Yes.
As my super, not guinea pig. I don't want to put him in that kind of a framework,
Just a pig.
but one of my oldest friends of the world, actually. You know, when we met back when we were in our mini teens, not big teens, but we were having some fun back then. So I thought him being down here in my cellar with me right now would be like a kind of a fun thing. We'll taste some old wines and some new wines. We'll do it quick so you guys can have some fun just watching us frolic down here, but not being near each other. So that's just kind of what it's all about. One of the first things that I poured for Adolfo when he was down here, I had an old bottle of the Duckhorn. Let's go here. Boop, zip on. Yep, this is a Cabernet Franc, actually. There you go. 2015 Duckhorn Cabernet Franc. Sorry, that's 2012. I'm reading it upside down, so sorry about that. Adolfo, you tasted this. What did you think about this?
Really good stuff, man. It's different. We started with, what did we start with actually before this?
We started with something different. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah,
but it was quite a substantial change. I was expecting a big punch to it.
Yeah.
You know, and it really came on real subtle.
It was very subtle. You know what? It had gotten together. It matured as a wine. And I think that's the thing about this. This is a really good one. We actually do have some cheeses over there that are going extremely well with it.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really nice starting point. And I love Cabernet Franc, one of my favorite grapes in the world. And I do have a lot in here and in these different parts of the cellar.
This is Napa Valley, right?
This is Napa Valley, absolutely. And Duckhorn, I think you guys know Duckhorn, one of the great brands. It started really kind of the Merlot movement, one of the great ambassadors of Merlot, but they also know their Cabernet Franc very well, and I love those Duckhorn Wine Co. wines. Second wine that I was going to pour Adolfo that he has not tasted, and this is another good one. Okay, Vineyard 1869. Sounds bizarre. What is this all about, sir? Well, to be really honest, I just did a great show on Cellar Pass TV just this past week with the great California winemaking legend, Scott Harvey. These vines are from 1869, and they have not been replanted. These are the old, gnarly vines, right up where we got married. In Volcano, not Adolfo and I, but that are still in the ground. And I actually did a documentary up there in August with where Scott Harvey was part of that, and I got to go back out to these old vines. It's called the Grand Pere Vineyard, one of the most legendary vineyards in America. 1869, these old vines are still there. So, Adolfo, this has been open for a few days. So what I'm trying to kind of get a point across here is this is a 2012, and this is a rather young wine. This is the 2017, yet it's been open for a few days. So they're almost very similar to each other right now. I just opened this one, old wine, new wine, but this has been open for more days. So it's more smooth, and as we would call this, it has a kind of a claret kind of style. And claret meaning... it's the British term for a bunch of that Frenchy stuff because they didn't care about the Frenchy names and they couldn't pronounce them anyways. So they just called it claret. And claret meaning that it's Cabernet, Merlot, Cab Franc, these kinds of things together. And it just created this wine that was very smooth and soft and everything. But in this case, this is actually Zinfandel, old gnarly vine Zinfandel. Something interesting, huh?
Yeah, man. Salud.
Salud. What I love about this one is it still bursts with that Zinfandel character to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it has that great acidity. I mean, what are you getting out of it?
Getting like floral, pepper, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I get a lot of blood orange peel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like that Pellegrino blood orange soda. If you guys ever get that, you're gonna understand exactly what I'm saying here. But I just think it's a great ambassador of what old vine Zinfandel can taste like. It's very different, especially if it's been one of these classic vineyards, and this is definitely one of them. So if you guys want to see that show, please check out cellarpass.com. And also their YouTube, cellarpasstv.com, so you can see some of the shows that I've been doing with them. We've got one coming up later today as well. But that is a great one. Scott Harvey, the great brand up there, scottharveywines.com. And that is a wonderful place to visit up in the Sierra foothills. This is Amador County, and it is a fantastic zone to go visit. And you know what? They are among the first of this grouping to really open up in California right now is the Sierra foothills. They only had, I think it was 6 people up there that had the disease, or sorry, the virus, not disease. I feel like it's a disease that we all have, but it is one of those kinds of things that's really interesting to follow. But they are the first that's being allowed to open their wine shop. So very, very cool. I am not going to dump this out. I am actually going to drink this because it's really good.
So good. So good.
Next up, I thought that we would go down a little bit of a different trail here. So this one is Chappellet. Chappellet being one of my favorite producers from up in Napa Valley. But one thing that a lot of people do not know about Chappellet is, what's my angle there? There we go. Is that Chappellet also has done a really great job of exploring Sonoma County, especially based on Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. So, Napa Valley is amazing for Cabernet, and something else that this winery is very well known for is Chenin Blanc, which I really love. But this one is actually a special growers collection. This is Apple Lane Vineyard, and this is from Russian River Valley. Technically, it's Green Valley of Russian River Valley, but we don't need to go there. That's the area where I was a child, and I grew up in that area. And Adolfo, you went to school at Pioneer. I mean, Jesus, you're in Russian River Valley, and that's how we got to know is when we were super young and having fun together. Oh yeah, I do need some. But the fact is that what Chappellet has done is really kind of explore these kinds of different styles of wine, and they've been a great member of the Sonoma Valley Vintners and Growers organization as well. They have a great wine shop or tasting room in Sonoma that you can go visit as well. But if you get over to Napa Valley, of course you need to visit Chappellet. It's one of the most prestigious places up on Pritchard Hill, and it is fantastic. But I love the fact that they have never stopped exploring the greatness of wine. And with this Pinot Noir, I did pop it open earlier. We were outside. Mm-hmm. It started to rain, and that's why I would have filmed him outside, but that did not happen. Funny in May that we can be talking about rain, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful nose on this. What I think is really developed in this is we were talking more about these kinds of red fruits and everything out there. Yeah. I think it's gotten darker and deeper and denser now.
Yeah, I agree.
It's been about an hour and a half. Believe me, we were not filming. We were listening to music. So
good music.
Good music, which I do down here.
Yes.
But I just like the density of this wine. Mm-hmm. This is a real provocative style of Pinot Noir that is the real deal. And the more important thing about this, it doesn't say right there, besides the Apple Lane Vineyard, is probably the most important thing about this wine right here. It's the Dutton family. The Dutton family is just legend of Russian River Valley. You want to talk about Carneros, you talk about the San Giacomos. You want to talk about Alexander Valley, you talk about Robert Young and Silver Oak and Justin Meyer and people like that. Dutton family and Russian River Valley, there's no doubt one of the greatest names you'll ever hear. So, Billy Sullivan, what are you getting out of this?
Oh man, It's kind of deceptive in the way that it's like it's surprising. The nose is sort of subtle, and then when you taste it, you get this like deep plum sort of rose.
Yeah, the rose petal. I know
yeah,
it's even
right?
more. It's more pretty now. I mean, it's just this is a young wine. This is the 2018 vintage. Let me just say this for that vintage. It was a great vintage, you guys. It was not like the 17, which was. There's a lot of heat spikes there, especially Labor Day weekend, which we will never forget here in Sonoma County. But 2018 is kind of showy and kind of funny because it's going kind of the even numbers over the past few, decade. The 14, the 12, the 14, the 16, the 18 are all kind of showy wines. The other ones that are a little bit, the uneven ones are a little bit, well, some of them are the most collectible ones, like the 13. The 15, super drought season, hardly any out there that you can take. 17, challenging. 18, showy, really good. But I think that the other thing that I like about this, and especially the Green Valley area, it reminds me a lot of the Occidental kind of area, Freestone Occidental area, where you get some blue fruit characteristics. And in this one, right when I smelled it originally, when we opened this outside, I was talking about violets and how this smells like violets to me. Also blueberries and also cassis and things like that.
Yeah.
Cassis, and most people never use that term with a Pinot Noir. But when you go out towards the coast, it's very different, And cassis is just one of those things that you're associating it with Cabernet Sauvignon. But it is actually, in itself, it's just a blue fruit. So we're getting into that kind of thing. So it's got that kind of wild, kind of herbal accent to it.
Yeah.
But it's very subtle, so it's not herby.
Yeah. Very regional.
Yeah, it's really, really unique. I love it. That is great.
You're gonna have to get another glass. Huh?
Oh yeah.
Should we?
Here.
Go get that for you?
I got it.
Oh, there we go.
Adolfo, why don't you bring that little dump bucket over here? We would drink all of this stuff. Actually, we really would, but we don't need to right now. But maybe we'll get you guys over
Speak
next
for
time.
yourself, Chris. I drink
Yeah.
it all.
Oh, snap. So, to keep going on a great scale here, so just because we're kind of exploring the cellar right now and new releases, old releases, and things like that, one of the classic brands that I gotta say, going back to the 90s, has made me such a lover of wine, and it's so California. Lohr. Lohr. I mean, come on, Lohr, you guys. In my book, which I'm still working on, but 1983. One of the interesting appellations that a lot of people never talk enough about is Arroyo Grande, down in the other area, but Arroyo Seco, which is Monterey County, is a little bit of a different thing. Because that actually was 1983 that it was a designated appellation. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
1983. You know what the number one song in 1983 was, Adolfo?
Oh man, Men Without Hats, something.
Every Breath You Take.
I was right on it.
Boom, done. Yeah. So I just think that that's an interesting area. The reason I bring that subject up is, J. Lohr, he actually was a great guy. He came from the Dakotas, and who would have ever known this, that he came from the Dakotas, came down here. He had a mind that was very, very different because he was looking at specific soils. And I will say this, in my research of that 1983 appellations, which includes Russian River Valley, Willamette Valley, Paso Robles, Howell Mountain, Carneros, all these kinds of places like this. Guess where the best lines were drawn? Arroyo Seco. Go figure. You can actually step one step this way, and it's a different wind current. It's different water sources. It's a different type of soil right there, and it's just a step that way. Versus like these air photos that like, oh, there's no grapes grown there, so that can't be in our appellation. And, like that were done in some of the other areas. Theirs was very hands-on, and I feel like this is a special thing to me. So why I'm throwing you all this kind of crazy stuff, and where they got to be really well known, is there, and also from Paso Robles too. which is where you can go taste their wines anytime. And if you're up in the Bay Area too, San Jose is where they have a great tasting room. It's fantastic there. So, I mean, please keep coming up there. But this one in particular is a little bit different. And so what I'm trying to say here is, hang on, there we go. So this is J. Lohr, but the interesting difference here is this is St. Helena Napa Valley. Yeah, the family has had some.
St. Helena, wow.
They have had property there for a long time, and no one knows this. So we are tasting a great Cabernet Sauvignon from them. This is St. Helena Napa Valley, 2016, family owned since 1974. Go figure. What a family. This is Carol's Vineyard, and this is part of the family, Carol. So beautiful wine. I'll just say this. We did open this wine a little bit earlier before we went on, just to make sure it wasn't corked. This wine was killer right out of the bottle. I got to admit. I mean, this one, you're like, oh, hey, man, that's really good. I mean, wasn't it fantastic?
Oh, man, yeah.
Well, I love about it is it's got that kind of grittiness to it. I can smell minerals. I smell like wet rocks. I can smell things like that, but I can smell like there's a little bit of a meatiness to this too. I love St. Helena. St. Helena is one of the most underrated areas in California, not only because of its Cabernet, but also because of its Petit Syrah. I mean, you go there, it probably has the best Petit Syrah in all the nation. And when I go into the tastings there, you know, it's the St. Helena tasting, I'm usually going to go taste the Petit Syrahs. You know, that's like one of my big forefront things is like, I got to taste all those Petit Syrahs. But the Cab's underrated, in my opinion. I think this is a stylish one. I think it's elegant. I think it's sophisticated. What do you think?
Amazing. It's so amazing. Yeah. I mean, the nose, you get like a kind of a chocolate, and then when you taste it, you're like, oh my gosh.
Isn't that good?
This is fantastic.
I just love this family. They are the real deal.
So good.
You know, I did a cruise with them some time back, and Steve was there, and Lawrence was there, and you know, I Cynthia, the great daughter, is a great friend of mine. They're just, I feel like I'm part of the family, and I think you would too if you started investigating these wines more from J. Lohr. So speaking of which, on that note, the last wine we're going to taste right now is actually quite interesting. And this kind of goes back to a different video I did for the series, which you can find on SawyerSomm.com. And it was actually kind of when this whole thing started with the COVID-19 and we're all in lockdown and this isn't going to happen. So I was out in my shed, which is out that way on the property, and I found all these old bottles. And hey, they've been in the shed. A lot of them were 2003s, you know, like white wines and stuff. So I did a little video on what do you do, like when you go into your pantry in your house and you just find old stuff and it says, well, it's expired, but do we try it? What do we do? You just got to be brave and do it. And there's no time better than right now to try it. You know, I don't want to say you're not going to die, but like, you know, like it's COVID-19 time, so who knows what I'm saying. But the main fact is that it's just interesting. So I pulled out an interesting bottle of J. Lohr.
It's J. Lohr Day.
This is J. Lohr, yeah, that I had poured for Adolfo earlier. And this may look like a rosé to you guys because we don't have enough time to go rinse up our glasses and everything.
It's such a ubiquitous name, too. J. Lohr, you know what I mean?
J. Lohr. It's just quality to me. That's what it means. Here, just do a little rinse on that. Yeah. Do a little rinse and dump. That's what I highly recommend, you guys. Rinse and dump. You can do some really interesting chemistry if you don't dump. Or you can just get a little bit more pure if you do dump. Depends on how drunk you are and if you go out to the tasting rooms.
I mean, the quality for such a popular name.
Yeah.
You know, it's
so
just
this
incredible.
is crazy. J. Lohr, Monterey County, White Riesling, 2005. 2005. Let's see if we can focus in there. This is Bay Mist. Interesting, you know. And the first thing that we did when he came over, we were just kind of looking outside if we could do it outside, this kind of recording. And to be really honest, the clouds were not looking good. And we wanted to listen to louder music, and it's better down in the cellar. So we did come down here. But the
It's
first,
beautiful here.
But the first thing that we did is that we opened this wine. You know, if it sucked, I would throw it out and we would not talk about it. But this wine was really good.
It's
right
great.
out of the bat.
And it's such a great sunny day wine, right? It's a great starter, too.
And I will say
Or
one
finisher.
thing about this. I think it's gotten even better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is crazy. This is 2005, and it's not really expensive wine. I mean, this
Really?
probably retails for $12.99, you guys.
Wow.
This is really one of those kinds of super bargains that Lohr, Monterey County Bay Mist, 2005. This is 14 years old, or sorry, 15 years old now at this point. So, I mean, you got to think about these things. I mean, Riesling just has that ability. So this is a Riesling, white Riesling as they call it, which is actually quite interesting because Riesling is just Riesling to us now. It's not really a red Riesling, but Johannesburg Riesling, white Riesling, these kinds of names that you kind of find every now and then are interesting, but they're not really what this wine is. This wine is just focused. It has great acidity. That's what really keeps it alive. What do you think?
What are you pairing this with?
Well, I would be doing a little bit more goat cheesy kinds of thing. I'd be doing a lot of Asian cuisine. If we could go down to the Slanted Door in San Francisco and we could do a little bit of Vietnamese food.
Oh, nice.
You're a big sushi fan.
Love it.
I mean,
Banh
of
mi
course.
too, all day.
These are what I'd be doing. You know, if we had, actually earlier we were eating some fine cheeses with some honeycomb. So real honey from honeycomb.
Yeah.
That would be really right up there. So you could start off your meal with this and really do a great job with it. Or you could just, kick back and just enjoy it with some fine Asian cuisine or just freshness. I mean, when we're talking about this time of the year and we get out there into what we're going to do, I know we're a little bit restrained and all this kind of, sip things going on right now. But the fact is, fresh food is what it's all about with springtime. It's freshness. It's all about freshness. This wine is still tasting fresh for being a 2005.
Yeah, absolutely. Just
For
slice
being
up
one of the
some
best
fruit
bargains
and
in
have it
the
with this.
market. And here we are.
Yeah.
How long later? This is crazy. I love it.
I love it. It is delicious.
What I'm liking about it especially is it's got the quince note and the grapefruit note, but it's got some lime in it now. Now I'm thinking fish tacos. Now I got you. I got your attention.
All day.
I'm thinking ceviche. I'm thinking some
yeah.
things like this,
Yum.
Actually, my wife and I, Simone, we just had some really good Peruvian food,
Very nice.
which had a fantastic ceviche with it. And of course, I'm thinking about this kind of stuff.
Oh, it's so good. It's such a departure, too, from the other stuff that we've tasted today.
Yeah.
It's like a total 90-degree turn.
Yeah.
And it's
so, and you know that we are doing it at the end, too, because it does have that acidity that can cut through all those tannins that we just tasted. So, it's a fun thing. You guys have a cellar. Keep exploring. Obviously, I'm helping him explore my cellar with me. We will crank the music shortly. But without further ado, please follow me and all these kinds of things that we're up to on SawyerSomm.com. Adolfo.
I am Adolfo Foronda at NerdStalker.
The NerdStalker. The NerdStalker is the man.
At NerdStalker on Twitter.
He's
NerdStalker
the man.
TV on YouTube. Check me out.
He is the man. And also one of my dear, dear friends. So glad to have you down here.
SawyerSomm all day.
Boom.
Love it.
Thanks, you guys.
Cheers.
Have fun. Cheers.
Enjoy. See you guys.